ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना. Welcome to the Friday scripture class, and today's subject is the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. And we are doing today chapter 20, Rules for Householders and Monks. It was recorded on Sunday, March 9, 1884, and it is at page 400 of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Let us go to the wonderful conversation that Sri Ramakrishna has with M and others, those who were present there. Rules for Householders and Monks. Sunday, March 9, 1884. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting in his room at Dakshineshwar with many devotees. Among them were Mani Mallik, Mahendra Kaviraj, Balaram, Yam, Bhavanath, Rakhal, Latu, and Harish. The master's injured arm was in a splint. In spite of the injury, he was constantly absorbed in samadhi or instructing the devotees. Mani Mallik and Bhavanath referred to the exhibition which was then being held near the Asiatic Museum. They said, many Maharajas have sent precious articles to the exhibition, gold couches and the like. It is worth seeing. Master to the devotees with a smile. Yes, you gain much by visiting those things. You realize that those articles of gold and other things sent by Maharajas are mere trash. That is a great gain in itself. When I used to go to Calcutta with Hriday, he would show me the Viceroy's palace and say, look, uncle, there is the Viceroy's palace with the big columns. The mother revealed to me that they were merely clay bricks laid one on top of another. God and His splendor. God alone is real. The splendor has but a 2 days' existence. The magician and his magic all become speechless with wonder at the magic. But it is all unreal. The magician alone is real. The rich man and his garden. People say, see only the garden. They should look for its rich owner. How people are gathered. It was a Sunday, and M was there, and young devotees Latu, Harish, Rakhal, Bhavanath, all were there, and senior people were there, like Mahendra Kabiraj, Mani Mallik, and Balaram, all, and M all were little senior. So, and the topic when Mani Mallik and Bhavanath told that they had seen the exhibition near the Asiatic Museum, exhibition where the things of that Rajas had used, expensive things were sent there for people to see. People are seeing different ornaments, different costly sofas and other things, chairs must be there. And they were praising about those expensive things used by the Maharaja they had sent for the museum. But how was Sri Ramakrishna's view? You see, this is how the view is. Sri Ramakrishna said, yes, you can enjoy these precious things, but for a knower of God, these all precious things are just a trash. It doesn't have any importance. That's what he says, and he gives the example. Those articles doesn't mean anything to him. That doesn't attract. There's nothing valuable in what the world sees as valuable. The gold, precious gems, and all that. For Sri Ramakrishna, there is no value in that. Like the pearl garland that pearl garland that Mother Sita gave to Hanuman, and he started breaking that each pearl, and started saying inside something, seeing inside something, and throw. Then Lakshman told to Ram that, you see, brother, Hanumanji, after all, may be a devotee, but he's a monkey. He doesn't know the value of pearls and this precious garland of pearls. And then Ram said, ask Hanuman why he's doing that. Then when Hanuman was asked, he said, oh, I was seeing whether Rama is there inside the pearls or not, with the Rama's name. Anything that is not connected with Rama is valueless for me. So it's just a trash, it's a no value. So that was Sri Ramakrishna's practical living spirituality. No, nothing other than God attracts him. They're all trash for him. And he immediately gave the example of what happened a few years ago when Hridaya was with Sri Ramakrishna and he had gone to Kolkata. And Hridaya showed him Viceroy's palace. The palace is still there. It's called Governor's House. So it is still there. And there are big, big columns where there, big house, Viceroy, the ruler of Empire of India, who was staying there, the representative of the Queen Victoria was just, staying in that viceroy because Kolkata was the capital of British India. And Sri Ramakrishna says he saw that it's nothing. The big pillar are nothing but the small bricks that are put one on the top of other. So it is like any other house, any other thing. There's nothing glorifying in having big house, big pillars, and a big palace. It's the same made of bricks. If you see inside, there is nothing glorifying there. So that is what Sri Ramakrishna's idea is about thing that attracts us. If you see inside, there is nothing that is so important. And that's why he says, gives the example of how people we are get attracted by seeing the magnificence or the glory of the outer world, how it attracts us. And he gives the example about the garden and the gardener. And garden is unreal, only gardener is real. That's what he's saying. Magician and magic. So magician shows magic, and people all are so charmed by seeing the magic. So, but what should charm is the magician who can produce such magic. Then it was not there; it just comes, and what comes is unreal. Only magician is real. What is shown, created, this is unreal. Unreal in the sense it doesn't last permanently. It's all for the time being. So, why you are attracted by something that is temporary? Rather, go for something that is permanent, that is always there, that is eternal, and that is God. So, if you are fixed, your mind is fixed to God, so then this changing world will not trouble you. Otherwise, you like one thing in the world and things change and the trouble will come. So, changing thing will give you trouble. Always, the world is, that's why it's a bondage, it is a place of suffering. Anityam Asukham Lokam Imam, that's what it is, Sri Krishna said. This this whole world is Anitya and Asukha. It's a source of um, unhappiness because it is impermanent. So if you want happiness, so then worship me. Imam prape bhajaswamam. So you have attained to this. So now only way to have the permanent happiness is worship me, be with me, says Sri Krishna. And he goes to the garden. And then Mani Malik goes further after listening to this. Mani Malik is still saying about the exhibition. Mani Malik to the master, what a big electric light they have at the exhibition. It makes us think how great he must be who has made such an electric light. Master to Mani. But according to one view, it is he himself who has become everything. Even those who say that are he. It is Satchidananda itself that has become all, the creator, Maya, the universe, and living beings. So that is beautiful. He was just saying on Sri Ramakrishna's line that big electric light was there, and God's inspiration made that big electric light, inspired someone to invent that, and that has come. So, how big would be God? So, but he is now inspired by Sri Ramakrishna. He's saying that. I doubt he had the idea of God when he saw that electric light in the exhibition. But now seeing Sri Ramakrishna, he's listening to Sri Ramakrishna's conversation, that idea came to Mani Malik, and he's seeing how great he would be who had made that great light. Sri Ramakrishna then changes the topic that no doubt God, by God's will it may happen, but and this world is unreal. But according to another view, the view of Vishishtadvaita, is that this world, though mithya, unreal, but it is God Himself who has become this world. Um, so this is not separate from God. In reality, behind this existence of this world is God alone. So seeing this world temporary, anitya and asukha, it should remind us of the Creator. That's how our attitude should be. That there is a Creator who has created this world. This world attracts. So our idea and thoughts should go towards the one who has created this attractive world, not to be attracted by the world, but to find who has created this attractive world. So that's what Sri Ramakrishna says. And one who says about the electric bulb, he is also same God. Nothing exists other than God. So this is always being in awareness of God. God has become all this. Tat srishtva tadeva nupravishata. God created this world out of himself. And after creating, he entered into every bit of it, anupravisha. He entered intimately and into every bit of it. This is the figurative way, poetic way to say. But in reality, God out of himself, eko aham bahusyama, I am one, I want to be many. So by that idea, that many, who has become this many? It's God alone who has become this many. This whole universe, it's God's transformation. God looks like this universe. So we should be thinking of God. It should remind us of God, not of the world. World devoid of God. When we forget God, so world becomes a matter of bondage and matter of suffering. But when this world makes us remind of God, we have that type of idea, then very everything becomes holy, everything becomes joyful, everything becomes connected to God. So somehow, if you can connect yourself to God by seeing this world, then you are spiritual. The conversation turned to the museum, master to the devotee. I visited the museum once. I was shown fossils. A whole animal has become stone. Just see what an effect has been produced by a company. Likewise, by constantly living in the company of a holy man, one verily becomes holy. Mani, smiling. Had you visited the exhibition only once, we could receive instruction for 10 or 15 years. So, how Sri Ramakrishna brings spiritual inspiration from wherever he visits. Once he went to see museum and he saw the fossil, and what he reminded him, what wisdom he got is that by being in the company of animal, the whole stone turned into animal. So by being in the company of something, you change your own existence according to that. And he said, similarly, by being in the company of holy persons, you become holy. So, how he associated the fossil, the animal turned into stone by just association, the dead body of the animal. So, you become stone, animal has become stone. So, similarly, if you keep company of a holy person, you will become holy. So, listening to this beautiful example of the importance of association, Mani Malik very wittily he said, "You didn't go to exhibition. If you had gone to exhibition, we'd get so many things of examples for our spiritual growth." So very nice, he said. and receive instruction for 10 or 15 years. There were so many exhibits. So you would be able to give us the examples of so many things and lead us to spirituality. For 10 or 15 years, he said, so impressed with the Sri Ramakrishna's attitude, and his Sri Ramakrishna's gaining the idea uh, of, of wisdom from the things that he perceives. Everything, seeing a palace, one finds a spirituality. Seeing and hearing about the magic, he found a spiritual message. And seeing this big things and precious metals and big expensive articles, he thinks that those are all trash, that has no meaning. So those are all things that Sri Ramakrishna could find out. And Mani Malik says, if you had once visited the exhibition, there are so many things are there, and we am sure that we'd have got enough material for you to gain the spiritual message for 10 to 15 years, and we'll get the example from the museum. So that's from the exhibition. Master with a smile. How so? You mean illustrations? Balaram. No, you shouldn't go. Your arm won't heal if you go here and there. Balaram has concern only for Sri Ramakrishna. Mani Malik was saying from generalization, but Balaram's love for Sri Ramakrishna is his arm is hurting. Balaram can feel the hurt of Sri Ramakrishna's arm. So all Mani Malik was just inspiring. He said, no, no, you should not go to exhibition. Your arm is not yet cured, and it will hurt. The crowd will be there, it will be hurt, and he can foresee the pain of Sri Ramakrishna's broken arm, and says from quite different angle. You may get the as if Sri Ramakrishna was going to exhibition. He was not going. He didn't ever say that he's going to see the exhibition. But Mani Malik was saying sincerely, if you go to exhibition, we'll get so many examples for our spiritual knowledge. But Sri Ramakrishna had never made the plan to go to exhibition. And then Balaram Mani said, no, no, you should not go to exhibition. So he was little concerned for Sri Ramakrishna's own health. Master, I should like to have two pictures, one of a yogi seated before a lighted log, and another of a yogi smoking hemp and the charcoal blazing up as he pulls. Such pictures kindle my spiritual consciousness as an imitation fruit awakens the idea of a real one. So these pictures, he once said to him also, can you pick those pictures? Once he said. And I think Sri Ram him got the pictures. One is yogi sitting in front of dhuni, that's called big log of fire, and there are kept, and he's sitting in front of a fire log and meditating. So it will kindle the idea of meditation. And other was one is smoking hemp, and he pulls and the fire glows, and how Sri Ramakrishna was artistic through his imagination, you can see that. And he says it kindles our idea about God and how we should practice meditation. People used to have this hemp, smoke hymns, and by that, uh, many were there who yogi. It was of course yogi who could numb his this nerves and put the whatever the idea of the nerve was there fully into the divine meditation. So that was about the pulling thing. So mind is not going anywhere. So that is what the hemp smoking thing. And Sri Ramakrishna's mind, by seeing these pictures, his mind would go into meditation. It go into samadhi. That was how Sri Ramakrishna's mind was fully attuned with samadhi. Now he talks about obstacles of yoga. The obstacles to yoga is woman and gold. Yoga is possible when the mind becomes pure. The seat of the mind is between the eyebrows, but its look is fixed on the navel and the organs of generation and evacuation. That is to say, on woman and gold. But through spiritual discipline, the same mind looks upward. So mind has to the seat is between the eyebrows, But he says that but what happened? It is the seat, but it wavers between the three lower planes, three lower centers, and becomes worldly. When the mind comes to the heart level, then the spirituality begins. So, though it is in the eyebrows level, but its gauge is looked there. It is not in the eyebrows. It is not in its own position. It is not having the spiritual view, but viewing about the worldly enjoyment. That is what the woman and gold it says. The mind has to be placed in at least in the heart. From heart, then comes the throat, and the eyebrows is the sixth center of the Kundalini, or the sixth plane of, according to Vedanta. So, the highest plane, spiritual plane. So that's what he said. So if one could put the mind at least at the heart level and do not think of the worldly enjoyments and do not place the mind at the three lower centers, then he becomes spiritual and finds greater joy, becomes a spiritual person, has started a spiritual life. Otherwise, worldly life continues if the mind dwells on the three lower planes. Sri Ramakrishna continues. What are the spiritual disciplines that give the mind its upward direction? One learns all this by constantly living in holy company. The rishis of olden times lived either in solitude or in the company of the holy persons. Therefore, they could easily renounce woman and gold and fix their minds on God. They had no fear, nor did they mind the criticism of others. In order to be able to renounce, one must pray to God for the willpower to do so. One must immediately renounce what one feels to be unreal. The rishis had this willpower. Through it, they controlled the sense organs. If the tortoise once tucks in its limbs, you cannot make it bring them out even by cutting it into four pieces. The worldly man is a hypocrite. He cannot be guileless. He professes to love God, but he is attracted by worldly objects. He doesn't give God even a very small part of the love he feels for woman and gold, but he says that he loves God. To Mani Malik, give up hypocrisy, as particularly pointed out to Mani Malik. Because Mani Malik has little tendency for spirituality, yet he was attached to the world. So, and in the beginning, he says about the obstacle to woman and gold is our worldliness, our attachment to the worldliness and worldly desires. That is said as woman and gold. So, and to have the yoga, purity of mind is needed. And purity of mind, how to get the purity of mind? How to, if mind is pure, then it rises above, from above the three lower planes. And but then it's Sri Ramakrishna so wonderful. It doesn't just give you the philosophy, he gives the practical yoga. He says to have the mind purified and mind rising above three lower planes and ascending from the three lower planes above to the heart level, one has to have the holy company. Holy company is so important, Sri Ramakrishna says, that that itself makes us feel that spiritual life is more important, it's more joyful, it's more permanent, it's the real life. But not knowing that, people, we are always attracted to the worldly things, woman and gold in Sri Ramakrishna language. And how will it make? So holy person's company is important. Those who have given up the woman and gold or attraction to the world, and those whose mind has already risen to the higher levels, having association with them, one learns to pull mind upwards to make mind purified. And he gives another thing. He says that to make the mind up, or when it holy company leads to uh, loneliness and enjoys the company of oneself. That's what he said. Um, One must, he says, by that, satsangatve nissangatvam, we just read here. The rishis of olden times lived either in solitude or in the company of holy persons. Therefore, they could easily renounce woman and gold and fix their minds on God. So, like that thing, if one has the company of holy, then mind is purified, then your own company, thought of God, then that will be like the beginning in the holy company, then the company of God, company of being and the company of yourself. Then from satsangatve nissangatve nischalatatvam, nischalatatve jivan muktim, and nischalatatve jivan muktim, like that thing is there. So in the Bhajagovindam it said. So that's how Sri Ramakrishna also said the rishis could do that. That leads to the spiritual awareness. And one should, to get that, one should have holy company, and also one should pray for having the willpower to renounce the attachment for the worldly attractions. That's what is renunciation about. The mind can be put in the higher level through the attraction. So that is the renunciation, and that Sri Ramakrishna says. And for that, one should have strong willpower, which will come by prayer to God. God, if prayed sincerely, will grant such thought, and you will have that willpower. That's what Sri Ramakrishna is saying is. And finally says, and gives the example of tortoise, how they are so firm their thing is when they put the limbs inside. In the Gita also it is said, kurmonga niva sarvasa. So like the tortoise, one should withdraw all the limbs and should not bring it out when things attractive came. And Sri Ramakrishna said, if tortoise withdraws limbs, he will never keep it out. Even if you kill him, if you cut it into four pieces, it is not going to bring it out. The example is for us. So when we have tried to mm, control our mind and uh, take away the mind from the worldly attraction for worldly enjoyment, then any amount of worldly enjoyment spread before us should not be able to bring back the mind towards attachment. It should be so firmly put inside that no attraction of the world should bring the mind out. That's what he gives the example of tortoise. Now about the guilelessness. Guilelessness is a very simplicity. It's a quality that what one says, that one does, and is very open inside and outside. And he says, Sri Ramakrishna said, guilelessness comes by the tapasya for many lives. It is in the last life that guilelessness comes. The worldly man is hypocrite. Hypocrite is opposite of guilelessness. He is not guileless. He professes to love God, but he is attracted by worldly objects. So that is the problem. Many say that they are devotees of God, and but their attraction to the world has not dried up. Their attraction to the world is already there. So trying to love God and not giving up attraction to the world, so they cannot go. So people will say they will have many marks on the body. You will go to the temple and do the things that a devotee would do, and but still in their heart there is the lurking for desire for name and fame and other enjoyment of the worldly things. So that is a hypocrite. So looks like a devotee, but is not devotee fully because mind has not purified. The attraction for the world has remained. He has not sincerely tried to purify the mind. So that is what is Sri Ramakrishna saying. For that, one has to be able to renounce the attraction for the world. How will one renounce? One is to really understand the temporariness and your worthlessness, valuelessness of the worldly things. Worldly things, objects are really valueless, worthless. For the time being, they may be attractive, but they have no real worth of attraction, real source of joy. So they are not, they really don't give us happiness. Happiness is all within us. We think and feel that worldly things will give us happiness. So that happiness which comes by our connection of the senses with the worldly objects or sense objects is not the real happiness. They are the source of unhappiness, source of misery. In the Gita, it is said, Ehi sangsparsaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. Whatever joy or happiness or pleasure you get by contact of your sense organs to the sense objects, they are the source of unhappiness. Dukkhayona, source of misery. So, dukkhayana evate adyantavantah kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. Wise person do not indulge in that. They have understood the worthlessness of the worldly objects. And because they have beginning and end, they will go. So the wise person don't get involved in the worldly pleasures. They seek the real source of pleasures. So that's what Sri Ramakrishna here says. So dive to the Remon Kali Bole. That's what Bengali is. Just try to focus on the divine and give up this worldly, flimsy things of the world. Then you will find real spiritual awareness coming, the joy coming, real value of life coming. Otherwise, it's all hypocrisy. Looks like you like. Mani Malik was like that person. He had a little desire. Definitely, he was better than other person. Still, attraction for the world was there, as in many persons is there. So Sri Ramakrishna is very particular to bring his disciples to real thought of God and get detached from the worldly attractions to the world. So that he says particularly, don't be hypocrite. Uh, he doesn't give God even a very small part of the love he feels for woman and gold. So, this is the problem. Do you love God? Many people will go to the temple and the church and will have shrine in house, but love has not grown for God. There have been no attempt to grow love for God. Not even a small portion of love is given to God that they give to woman and gold, that they give to their relations, their enjoyment, because thinking it to be true. So that is what Sri Ramakrishna says, that you have not grown love to God. You do not try. There is a little faint wish is there. You want to become a devotee, but you are not yet convinced that love of God is the real source of bliss, not the world, not the worldly attractions. So try to be convinced with your thought, viveka, and then you will come to God. Otherwise, you will look like a devotee. You will come to the temple, but inside will be all worldliness filled up. Love for God, the mind that love for God, the love that you have in your heart, which is fully given to the sense enjoyments and to glorify the worldly attraction and worldly possessions and desire for name and fame, that you really love. That love has to be renounced and love of God has to grow. That is not done. And how will it grow? That's the one problem. How will it grow? Many people say, how can I have devotion to God? So the one thing is, you have to understand the nature of worldly things. It is very flimsy. It is there today, gone tomorrow. There is no real happiness. You have to be convinced with that, thinking by thinking deeply. The teachers may say, holy person may say many times, but unless you are yourself convinced of the worthlessness of the world and worldly pleasures, you cannot give up the worldly joys, attraction, or attachment to the worldly things. And unless you give the attachment to the worldly things, the mind will not go to God. Love of God will not grow. So for that, viveka is very important. You have to have understanding that wisdom has to come. Now, wisdom, how to grow the wisdom? The one thing is holy company. You be with the people who are really holy, who are not attracted to the world, who who see the inner thing. Being in Sri Ramakrishna, when you go to see the beauty of buildings now, when you go to New York and say high-rise building, nice building high in New York or in Toronto, and then you will have the idea that what Sri Ramakrishna saw, it was small pieces placed one upon the other. Nothing is there real beauty outside, and real beauty is the beauty of God. So that we start thinking and we come to that conclusion. If that's how Viveka comes. With Viveka region, then Vairagya comes. What is Vairagya? Vairagya is not being attracted to the worldly enjoyment, worldly objects, and putting the mind on God. Mind will automatically go to God when we can withdraw it from the world. So Viveka, understanding the nature of the world, will lead to Vairagya. Both have to come. And this company of holy, when you see nice building, now next time when we see the viceroy's palace, which is now governor's palace, huge gate, nice building, now it will not attract. You will think, oh, it is brick upon the brick kept. It's like any other house. There's nothing worth very special to it. So that's how people think. And it is about not the glory. Sometimes we find some very person who has become very famous in politics or in other things, how great the person is, who is the leader, he's the president, he's the minister, like that thing comes. And chief minister, how great. But what about the quality of the person? He might be have be holding some high position through his politics or through his career or something. But what about the inner thing of that person? Has that person given up attachment to the woman and gold or attachment to the worldly things? If that is done, that person is great. Otherwise, it is just a position is the thing. So we need not be awed by the position of the people. So it is how the person is that should command our respect. We have to show the due respect for the position, but for the person itself, unless that person is really genuine, um, heart's respect will not come. For getting the heart's respect for other person, it has to be a holy person. Holiness should be there, purity should be there, in law the heart that has become big and all accepting should be there, selflessness has to be there. Then the um, real worth of the person is increased. Such person, even if they are in um, politics, sports, science, they are real persons to be respected from the heart, because they have cultivated their mind, they become spiritual, they have purified their heart, they are now selfless. So like that we should consider. So holy company gives us that wisdom. Why even holy company of the book, company of the holy book, if we read sincerely, it will give us ideas. Mind will rise definitely, and it will try to understand the worthlessness of the world and real value of God. And Sri Ramakrishna is so loving to Mani Mallik. You see, Mani Mallik used to come, he found that he is a worth person who really feels that love of God is very important, but he's not really trying for that. He's not really doing any sadhana to have grow in love of God. And he says very strongly to Mani Mallik, and he says, mm, but he says that he loves God, but he doesn't love God, a hypocrite person. To Mani Malik, give up hypocrisy. So here he says, you want to be a spiritual person and yet you are attracted to the world. So give up hypocrisy. The Mani Malik is very important. He says, regarding whom, God or man. So hypocrite person towards God will be look like the devotee of God, but will have his mind upon the world. Hypocritic person towards world, towards man will be he will like the attracted to the man, but he loves God. So what he says regarding whom, God or man, about regarding whom should I give up hypocrisy? Master, regarding everything, man as well as God. One must not be a hypocrite. Mon, muk, act. The mind and thought should be same. The person should be transparent. He should be always same. So that is what Sri Ramakrishna says to Mani Malik. And he's saying this to Mani Malik is teaching and is blessing her too. Uh, Now, Master says, uh, continues, how guileless Bhavanath is. Bhavanath is present that day there. And he says, Sri Ramakrishna says, how guileless Bhavanath is. After his marriage, he came to me and asked, why do I feel so much love for my wife? Alas, he's so guileless. So he just said what was in his mind. Coming to a holy person, to his own guru, and seeing why I feel so much attracted to his own wife. So it is the attraction of the out of the senses, attraction of the worldliness. But he comes to Sri Ramakrishna and says, why I feel so attracted to the. He didn't hide his attraction for his newly wed wife. So that is what Sri Ramakrishna praises this simplicity, this guilelessness, not hiding anything. He doesn't say, oh, wife is there, doesn't matter. My thing is Mother Kali, I love. He doesn't say that way. He says, I feel attracted to my wife. So the amount you get attracted to your relations, that very amount you get reduced of your attraction towards God. So he praises that thing as the simplicity or guilelessness. Isn't it natural for a man to love his wife? This is due to the world bewitching Maya of the Divine Mother of the universe. A man feels about his wife that he has no one else in the world so near and dear, that she is his very own in life and death, here and hereafter. Again, how much a man suffers for his wife, still he believes that there is no other relative so near. Look at the sad plight of a husband. Perhaps he earns 20 rupees a month and is the father of three children. He hasn't the means to feed them all well. His roof leaks, but he hasn't the wherewithal to repair it. He cannot afford to buy new books for his son. He cannot invest his son with the sacred thread. He begs a few pennies from his different friends. So he said about the natural wife's attraction is natural because they feel that she is their life partner till death. She will be there and taking care of husband. Or a similar thing, wife will take the husband will support throughout her life. So there is that love is there, dependence is there, and fulfillment of their life, whatever they lack in life, and single they will get from other thing is there. But it's not all happiness when you get married, she says. After you get married, so responsibility increases. And for children, and if you are not rich enough, so how you provide the thing called because of getting you married or having a wife, you get a children, you cannot even feed them well, you cannot even fulfill the things. It brings up the case of Upanayana ceremony that people do, investiture of the sacred thread, the Brahmins generally do. He brings that you are so poor because you, and yet you have a family, you are married to and have a wife, and then got children, and you are not able to look after them nicely because you got married. So that's how he says how interdependence, the thing that wife will get everything, fulfillment in life, that people feel. That's why they get attached and attracted or dependent on wife, and vice versa, wife and husband, husband and wife. This is natural, he says also. And also, there is suffering in the worldly life, there is no doubt. And Sri Ramakrishna continues. But a wife endowed with spiritual wisdom is a real partner in life. She greatly helps her husband to follow the religious path. After the birth of one or two children, they live like brother and sister. Both of them are devotees of God, his servant and his handmaid. Their family is a spiritual family. They're always happy with God and his devotees. They know that God alone is their own, from everlasting to everlasting. They are like the Pandava brothers. They do not forget God in happiness or in sorrow. Beautiful. After saying about the difficulties in married life, then he says about it's not always that married life is always difficult, but if both husband and wife are spiritual, then it's a wonderful companion and help in promoting the spirituality of each other. And they live like brother and sister after one or two children are born. And they like the company of God and the devotees. They love everyone. Their selfishness about their own children has gone. Their love and feeling of oneness with all increases with the purity of their heart and their detachment from the family. And because both husband and wife look each other only as the spiritual partner, and there is no any worldly desires left in them, um, but whole desire is how to love God and find the joy of love of God in both of them. Both of them become like sadhakas, like a spiritual practitioner, and they both progress by supporting each other. That's what Sri Ramakrishna's ideal family. There are families like that, those who live a very chaste life and do regular spiritual practice, sit together during morning for japam and meditation for maybe half an hour, and then do the worldly things. There is never any quarrel among them because they both understand, they both respect each other, and the love then it transforms into respect for each other because both of them see divine manifesting in them and try to make each other more spiritually advanced by their advice, by support, by how to speak, and by their prayer. They will pray for each other. There are so many people who pray for others. This praying for others is very effective tool to purify our heart. I met one person. I'd gone to his 70th birthday, and the person said that we were quite big number, about 50% we had gathered in that. It was a surprise birthday party for him. And he said, there is none in the room that I do not pray every day for their welfare. So that was so inspiring for me. He's a householder. He's not initiated. He doesn't say japam and all that, mantram and all that. But his heart feels for others equally. And he prays for the good of all, one and all. And so pure hearted he has become. He feels that everyone is his own. So that's how we can become pure hearted person, by praying for others. So praying for husband, prays for wife, wife prays for husband, both prays for children and neighbors and for other devotees. So that makes so spiritual. It makes so pure yourself. This praying for other people whenever there is something. I have heard about a Swami. Swamis don't go to wedding ceremony, so but people still, they bring something for the wedding ceremony, some card they give. One Swami used to was there. He used to keep the card, and people thought, why he keeps the wedding card, he will never visit there. But what that Swami used to do, on on the day of wedding, whatever is written on the card, he will go to the shrine of Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother Swami Vivekananda and would pray for the newly new couple, that their life be peaceful, loving each other, and centered in God. May their life be enriched with the spirituality. See the heart of this Swami. So that's how this prayer works. And his prayer definitely would work for such couple newly being wed that day itself, on that moment. So like that, many are there who pray for others. We need to pray whenever we find. So it is not selfish prayer. This prayer is not, if you say, oh, why should we pray that for the person who is getting married? It is not the spiritual prayer. No, it is spiritual prayer. Spirituality is needed by monks. Spirituality is needed equally, if not more, by the householders. Householders' life is a very difficult life. Unless they are spiritual, it is difficult to wade the oceans of this samsara. Very, very turbulent is the ocean of samsara. Only prayer can make it calm, and they can wade through, they can walk through the water. So this prayer is important for everyone. Physical suffering, mental suffering. There's so many suffering in the world. The world is full of suffering, like Buddha saw. And that's how this prayer for the people whom you find somehow suffering, somehow sick, where sick or having some problem in life, just go to the shrine and pray for him. It will purify your heart. You will become closer to God. You will start loving God more through your prayers for your neighbors and other devotees and other people. So this prayer is important. That's what Sri Ramakrishna says, that how spiritual family, spiritual couple, they will support each other in their spiritual growth. So, with this wonderful teaching of Sri Ramakrishna, so practical and so elevated, making husband and wife elevated spiritually. They come to the level of whatever best life one can assume, living a life of brahmacharya, total control of their own mind. So that is very much possible. And it's not that it's very few are there. There are people who live a life of chastity, life of continence, householders. I have seen such family, young family, but they know that chastity is very important for his spiritual life and find no attraction in the worldly pleasures. So that way, Sri Ramakrishna always encourages that life of spiritual life, enriched spiritual life for the people, for the family, where God is at the center, and everything that do each other for each other is not out of self-interest. When you see other person as your companion, you don't expect anything from that person and only pray for his or her good, and life becomes, relation becomes so sweet. Never it gets bad because you don't expect anything. There is no want from each other. Only you pray for others' well-being, not for yourself. There is no desire that other spouse or other children should just praise them and say how good you are. Oh, mommy, you are so good. Oh, honey, you are so good. Nothing like that. They know that mm, the God is at the center. More focus on God and support each other in that way. So we all become spiritual if we bring God very much into our life. And that's how Sri Ramakrishna says, when then we become real devotee in the real term, when God has come to our lives, then our hypocrisy is gone. We become guileless, we become simple, we become true, that to be called as a devotee of Sri Ramakrishna, pure, selfless, sincere, loving all, finding fault with none, loving or accepting all as they are, then only we become Sri Ramakrishna devotees. Otherwise, just it is in a namesake that I am a devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. I do japam for so many times. I sit 2 hours in front of in the shrine, and it will have all the ill feeling for others. So that will not have increased our heart is not purified. We have to try for this thing, how not to find fault with others, how to accept others, because so then you become really spiritual, and you feel peace of mind for yourself, and you become blessing for others. You become very friendly to others. With this, I conclude today's this spiritual, this our scriptural class today. And next time I'll be in person. Next, no, I'm sorry. Next Friday is Swami Sarvapriyananji giving a talk to in Durgabadi, and the talk will be in Bengali on Friday. So next Friday there is no Friday scripture class on 28th. It will be, but it is in Bengali for the Bengali speaking community of Toronto, mostly from Bangladeshi community or anyone who understands Bengali. But on 29th and 30th, there will be retreat, and we all meet at the retreat. Favorite join and register for the retreat at Don Bosco Secondary School in Etobicoke. Thank you very much. After that, we'll meet again in the month of July. We'll meet in the scripture class. So now the closing chants. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Jananim Saradam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Sritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu. Thank you and good night to you all.